Cephalosha just wouldn't quite fall. Now here's Crawford the other way.
Great move.
Hey guys, this is Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Sean Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Basketball Time Machine. My name is Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk some old school NBA basketball. In today's episode, we got a very special guest in the house, a true NBA legend, Jamal Crawford. Jamal, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Sean. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Fan of your work.
Thank you very much, man. Now, before we start talking about your NBA days, I always have a specific question that I always ask my guests first. Who were the guys that you were looking up to when you were a kid? Like, who were the guys that you were copying? Who were the guys that inspired you when you were still a child?
When I was really young, it was like Dr. J, right? And then it was Michael, Magic, Isaiah. And as I got to like middle school, high school, it became like Iverson, Penny, Kobe, T-Mac, Grant Hill, guys like that. And then like Kevin Garnett, and all those wonderful players, Gary Payton. Like, so they all influenced me. And I try to steal something from all those guys and try to put it into my own game.
Man, I really like your selection. No, honestly, those are all players that I love, like T-Mac, Kobe, and obviously the 80s legends. But even though those players inspired you, your playing style was different. Like, if I would compare you to all the players you just mentioned, I would still say, okay, your game was something totally different. I'm skipping a couple of questions, but I just want to know, how difficult was it for you to take your street ball flavor, for lack of a better word, and make it work in the NBA? Because back then, when you were a rookie, we have to remember there weren't many guys who had those kind of handles and those kind of moves. Many coaches were not happy if a player showed some things that they have never seen. So how difficult was it for you to bring those moves into the NBA?
That's a great question, and I'll give a two-part answer. So the first part of it is, when I was a kid, I loved NBA basketball so much that I used to ask people around, I'm 13, 14, 15 years old, like, who do I play like? And I would say, like, Iverson, Penny, I'd throw out some names. Penny's another one that I love. They would say, nah, you're a little bit of this guy and a little bit of that guy, but not really. And as a kid, that discouraged me because I'm like, well, how am I going to make it to the NBA if I don't play like anybody in the NBA? I thought it was like a certain way you had to kind of play or mimic somebody's game, and I didn't play like anybody. Fast forward, I'm so thankful that I didn't play like anybody exactly, because now kids are saying you have your own unique style of play, and that makes me feel good because people play all over the world, right? If you play different than everybody else, you're unique in that way. And the second part of that is I always feel like I'm from the N1 era.
Yes.
Right, with street ball. I used to walk around with the street ball tape, mixtape they were giving out at Foot Locker everywhere I went. And people were like, that stuff won't work in the NBA. It won't even work in college in the Big Ten. How are you going to do that? And I'm like, no, I'm just going to play how I play and it'll work. And I just mastered my flow. And I think I'm one of the few, especially from my era, after like Iverson, who kind of helped bridge the street game to the NBA game, I kind of felt like I was a gap between the two, because when I played on the street, I played just like I did in the NBA. When I played in the NBA, I played just like I did in the street, and I just owned my flow, and I was able to mesh both worlds.
Interesting. From all the guys that you just mentioned earlier, the guys that you idolized, who did you tell that you idolized them?
All of them. I got a chance to meet.
Really?
Oh my God.
I believe you. I
feel like a kid around every single one of them. And I played with a couple of them. Gary Payton was a mentor for me. Kobe, we became really good friends, I would say, before he passed away. Iverson, I tell him every time I see him, I love him. I had 35 pictures of him on my wall. Michael Jordan. I'm like, I don't even believe you know my name. Like, this is my hero. He's the end all be all. Magic, Isaiah Thomas, who signed me to the Knicks, who Actually, I wear number 11 because of him, and he coached me in New York. Penny Hardaway, T-Mac, all these guys. That's what I'm most proud about. One of the things I'm most proud about, I actually got a chance to tell all my favorite players how much I love them, even to this day.
Interesting. I'm a big fan of what ifs, and I'm going to ask you basically the same question later, just with a different decade. But since we're talking about Penny Hardaway, and Penny is one of my favorite players. I think kids nowadays don't know how great and special this guy was.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time, and let's say you're 10 years younger and you would have been drafted in 1991, what team do you think would have been the best fit for you in the 90s? And the Bulls doesn't count. I want something creative now.
Yeah. All right. I like that. So my current game to the 1991 version, or which game am I playing? Am I taking my game in the NBA versus?
Yeah, like the way you played throughout your career, but on a 90s team in the 90s.
I would say being with that Orlando team.
Okay, that would have been my pick too. Penny Hardaway, you, Dennis Scott, Horace Grant, and Shaq.
Oh my gosh.
That would have been some real magic.
That would have been some real magic. The Orlando Magic, it would have been magic, no doubt about it. That group would have been unbelievable. Well, you have Penny and 3D, as you said, and you have myself. Those are all like big guards, right?
Yeah.
Multifaceted guards that could do different things, and it would have been a perfect mix. So that would have been an unbelievable team to be on. And have the pinstripe uniforms as well. For sure.
Yeah, I love the jerseys, man. I know not everybody is a fan of those jerseys, but I love them.
Right, I love them too.
Now, how difficult was the transition for you when you were playing for the Bulls and it was the post-Jordan era? Now, I remember I was a huge Chicago Bulls fan, and I'm probably the biggest Jordan fan alive, which my fans know because every third video that I cover is Jordan. But the era post-Jordan was super difficult because Scottie was gone, Jordan was gone, Rodman was gone, and yeah. Then basically the young Bulls came in, but the crowd was so used to winning, and suddenly you young guys come into the league and gotta reach that standards. How difficult was that?
Tough act to follow, that's for sure, right? Those guys were not only important to Chicago, they were important to the league and across the world.
Yeah.
Because they captivated everybody with MJ and Scottie, and just that their dynasties they had. I will say the games were still sold out because people thought there was a chance the Bulls could return. So they already bought their tickets in advance. So they were sold out arenas. We just weren't any good. That's for sure. The support was there that way. And they were patient. They understood, that we were young and trying to find our way, and nobody could follow that act. But to be able to put on that Bulls uniform after watching it for so many years, at guard, 6'6".
Oh yeah, man!
Right, to be able to be introduced to the Chicago and to the arena with that same legendary announcer, and I'm like, man, Michael Jordan shot on these hoops. Just to being that the presence of greatness, even though he wasn't there and they weren't there, to know they actually walked those same hallways and did some of the same things that we did, as far as dealing with equipment managers and trainers, and so you could ask those guys around the team, hey, what was, Michael like? What was his work ethic like? What do you do? How do you wear socks? Whatever it was, we would ask those type of questions. So it was really cool to be with the Chicago Bulls after watching them for so many years.
The thing is, I have many Hall of Famers and legends on my show, and the one thing that I notice about you right away is that you still have that little kid, that NBA fan in you.
There's no doubt, Sean. I absolutely have that. And that's what we talked about a little bit before we got started. I'm so grateful and thankful. I never took this for granted. And every time, like Vince Carter had me come on his show the other day. And when he texted me, I'm like, man, the kid was like, man, I even told my friend I was sitting next to, I said, man, Vince Carter just texted me, like, to be on the show. Like I'm so in love with the game and so thankful for the game that I'm so respectful of all the people that came before me and all the people that inspired me. And I've had the chance to tell them that.
Nice, man. Nice. Now, since you were an old school NBA fan back in the days, let's rephrase the questions. Since you played against many legends in the 2000s, I want to rewind it back a little bit. Who of the 1980s would have been the one guy that you wish you could have played against?
In the 1980s?
Can I take a guess?
Go for it.
I would say Isaiah Thomas.
That's a great guess. The way he handled the ball, the way he mesmerized you. He was the first guy seen sitting in a chair going behind the back. Most people used to do it like the long way. He would sit in a chair and go behind the back. And then Michael Jordan, because he's the GOAT, right? And to see him in his takeover, like even before he won a championship, people were already saying he was the best player in basketball in the league with Bird and Magic and all these great players. So to see that athleticism, that will to win, that cat-like quickness, just to see him in person, because I played against him with the Wizards and worked out with him. But to see him when he first got to the league in '84 and that first 4 or 5 years would have been magic.
All right, good pick. I mean, yeah, absolutely good pick. Yeah. The one move you wish you would have added to your repertoire?
Well, Sean, I don't know if you've heard this. I actually have my 10 best moves that I can do at the drop of a dime. I actually have never done. If I had made an all-star game, I was going to pull out my 10 best moves ever. They're better than the moves you've seen me do. All 10 of them are better than the moves you've seen me do. So I'm not sure I would add anything to my repertoire, but I would have definitely pulled out those moves if I had made an all-star.
Nice, man. Yesterday, I went back on YouTube and I watched a clip, and this is 100% my truth. I'm a basketball player too. I'm a basketball coach too. And okay. I grew up in an era where you taped everything on VHS. You went to the gym and you tried to copy the move of the guy who did it in the NBA.
Absolutely.
And the one move you made against Kirk Heinrich, that to me is the only move I cannot copy. Obviously, I can't copy a move as good as NBA players, but I can at least repeat what I saw. But that move is so difficult coordination-wise to pull off, and the speed, in the speed you did it, it's unbelievable. Like even in the replay looks like it's the normal speed.
Yeah, it's a regular speed. The amazing thing about that is I played with Kirk, as we talked about Chicago.
Yeah.
And you know, he's a good defender, and I knew he would know the shake and bake move was coming, the double behind the back. So I get a steal, and I'm like, I'm thinking all this, Sean, as I'm coming down court, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I just went behind my back, and my body just carried me. My body followed my feet, and the ball just went over his head, and he looked and reached for it. It was amazing because if you go back to every play you've ever seen me do, you've never seen me do that one. Yeah. I made it on the fly. And that's why you see me do it after that, because I was like, what just happened? It was like magic. What just happened? Because I had never done it before and never did it after that. It was just like, guys, I'm going to give you a gift right here. And that was the move.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Now, we had the same question a little bit earlier, but now I want to take it to the 2000s. The one team you would have been the best fit in... Yeah, let's say from 2000 to 2009. I want to hear your opinion first because I would have the perfect team, but I want to hear your opinion first.
You got the perfect team? I can't wait to hear this. From 2000 to 2009. I mean, now you got me going back. That Lakers team would have been fun too, Sean, to play with Kobe and Shaq when they went on their first three-peat. That would have been unbelievable. I would say the Spurs, but they already had Manu, so he was unbelievably great. You know, GOAT type 6 man.
Okay,
so,
you're gonna love my pick, Ben.
Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait to hear. I'm gonna go with the Lakers.
Okay, the Sacramento Kings. Listen to this lineup: Jason Williams,
yes,
you, Peja Stojakovic, Chris Webber, and Vlade Divac. And tell me this isn't the greatest Showtime team ever.
Oh, yeah. It would have been unbelievable. It would have been, well, first off, shout out to White Chocolate. That's another one I stole a lot from and watched him. I actually have him on my wall downstairs. I have like a barber shop where I have all my muses and my childhood. It's like the soundtrack to my childhood, and he's on there.
Nice.
White Chocolate was unbelievable. You never knew what he was going to do. He kept you on the edge of your seat. Chris Webber, part of the reason I went to Michigan, for the Fab Five. Vlade, unbelievable passer. Page knocking down everything. And then you have a guy like Doug Christie as well. Bobby Jackson getting buckets.
Yeah.
I like that. That's an underrated sleeper pick, Sean. I like that pick.
The thing is, you would also have two guys who could shoot the long ball. I mean, Jason could shoot from very, very far away. You could shoot from very, very far away. Passing-wise, you would have been an incredible team. And scoring-wise, who would stop you?
Yeah. And, their focus was on scoring. It was like they were like, hey, we're going out there and trying to hold teams to 80. They were getting up and down. So, absolutely. That was a great pick. I think you knew that pick coming into it.
Yeah. Now, one more question before I let you go. Now, obviously, you are retired now, but I was always kind of hoping that you would come back because you proved that you could still play. I mean, you probably had one of the craziest last games in NBA history. And I thought, okay, maybe NBA teams are just stupid or blind or there got to be another reason. But at the end, you didn't come back. So I would like to know, how do you feel about how your career ended? Was it nice leaving on a high note, having such a, proving everybody that you could still play and then walk away? Or did you feel like, okay, there's still gas in the tank, I would like to play at least one more season?
I look at it more as nice now because I did show I could still play. Everybody, and for good reason, will talk about the last game, how I scored 51 off the bench, which has never been done at 39 years old either. It had never been done at any age, but especially not at 39 years old. But I averaged 31 points and 6 assists. You could look it up for the month of April that month. And that was my highest scoring month in my career. Clipper days, Knick days, whatever. That was the highest scoring month. I averaged 31 points and 6 assists off the bench. And we won half the games that we played in. It's 4 games we won 2 of them. So that was like, I'm like, oh, I know it's going to be another, I just showed I could still play. I'm getting 50 still 15 years later than when I got 50 the first time. So and it didn't happen. And it was a struggle at first because it didn't make sense to me either. And I took time, reflected, and it was a struggle. And then I got into coaching. I love coaching. I'm coaching my son and my nephew. And that's been unbelievable for me. It's my favorite thing to do now. But then now looking back, I'm like, I showed I could still play. And that's why it was such an outcry from my peers, from everybody. Like, he should be in the league. This guy's still in the 50s off the bench and can't get a job. So, that part was difficult. But now I look at it as beautiful because I showed I can still play at the ultimate level.
Nice, man. Okay, I got one more. Your top 5 players of all time, because you have knowledge of old school NBA basketball. I want to, and you basically played almost in the old school era. You were like in the mid era plus the new school era, so you would know. What are your top 5 players?
That's a great question. I'm going to go Michael, Kobe, LeBron, Magic, Kareem.
I like your,
With all respect to Wilt and Bill Russell, I just didn't actually see them. So I'm going off people that I kind of seen.
It's so difficult to rank Wilt and Bill Russell. It's just so difficult. I mean, the numbers are unbelievable, like crazy. But on the other hand, when you look at footage, and Gilbert Arenas said something that was kind of tough, but he's not too wrong. He said that Wilt and Bill Russell were playing against plumbers, and obviously they weren't plumbers, but the game evolved a lot now.
Yeah, the game's evolved, but you can't control your error. You know what I mean? Like, you just play when you play. And the reason I didn't include him personally is because I mean, nobody's won like Bill Russell. Wilt has his own record book. You know what I mean? I just went off of people that I actually saw myself in those time periods. You know, obviously I saw later Kareem, but, you know, Magic's my second favorite player ever. And the rest, you know, I either competed against or played against. Actually, I played against MJ, Kobe, and LeBron. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, the only player you left off the list where I'm sad about is Larry Bird. Larry Bird's my second favorite player next to Michael Jordan.
Larry Bird is I'm going to be honest with you, it took a long time for me, for, you know, those other guys to pass him. Like, you know, because he's so great at what he does. And I still think he's easily top 10 for sure.
Nice.
And when you're that great, I'm not sure there's a wrong answer, because somebody else can say Larry Bird, Magic, Jordan, LeBron, and, you know, Wilt. That's not wrong either. You know, so there's so many great players, but that's just the five that jumped out at me.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamal, it was great having you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I can't wait to go watch. Every time I see your show, I promise you, I go watch, because the way you deliver the message and bring people into the world of these players is unbelievable. Second to none. So I'm a fan. Thank you. Honored to be on here.
So you're going to come back on the show?
Absolutely. Whenever you want me, I'm here. Look at my wall behind me. I have Jordan over there.
Yeah, I saw that.
I have Kobe down there. And next to Kobe's book, you can't see is the shoes. You know, I'm a basketball junkie. I have some And-Ones over there, my rookie shoes that my wife got me for my birthday. So I'm a basketball junkie.
Who's the player next to your jersey? The figure.
Next to my jersey.
No, the other side.
Right there?
Yeah, isn't there an action figure or a basketball figure?
Oh, that's my bobblehead. That's me. I got a bobblehead.
Oh, nice. Nice, man.
All right, man. So I had to keep it.
All right, man. Thank you very much. And you guys take care. See you next time on the Basketball Time Machine.